Hey guys, Jburton here, and today I'm bringing you a video as a beginner's guide to getting 1500 in arenas. Alright, starting off, the most important thing is you gotta be fully geared. This means farm your honor gear and BGs, and then unfortunately, yes, you need to do Ashran. You need to at least get those 4 event wins and that 1 boss kill to get your random epic item. Once you're fully geared, that's when you can actually start doing things. Okay. Now there's some tips I want to go over for different roles in arenas. Starting off for healers and casters in general. You need to learn to juke. This is important. A lot of new players don't do this and they're always getting interrupted. Always. And that makes it almost impossible to do anything in terms of climbing up and rating. So what is juking? Juking is when you cast a spell and you fake it. Like you jump, you move, you press cancel, whatever, just to stop your casting and make the enemy waste their interrupt. Now, you can tell when they use their interrupt if you get this add-on called Omnibar. I got it right down here in the bottom right. Omnibar is amazing. Anybody near you, if they use, like let's say a warrior uses his pummel to try to interrupt your polymorph, but you cancel it, and he uses his pummel, it'll show pummel down here, and it'll show the cooldown remaining. So you can know how long you can free cast without having to worry about being interrupted. I really recommend this add-on to healers and other casters. So important. Okay, now on the other side, if you're a melee target, or, well, anybody with an interrupt, anybody, you need to be watching out for jukes. If you're trying to get above 1500 and your interrupts are constantly missing, you're going to have trouble. Healers are going to be getting their heals off nonstop, and CCers are going to get their CCs off nonstop. This is really bad. So, how do you avoid being juked? Well, it's kind of guessing almost, but you can guess smartly. The best thing to do is to wait till that cast bar is almost complete. Wait till they're almost done with that spell, and then interrupt them. Most people that are pretty new to juking will just juke like halfway through. Cast it halfway and jump. Cast it halfway and jump. The cool part about this, if you can keep resisting the juke, that's time they're not casting that spell. Because if they keep canceling it, they're not doing anything. And then once they do finally decide to complete that cast, you interrupt them at like 90% when it's about done, boom. So just get better at predicting jukes and knowing when to interrupt. Don't just interrupt right away when you see that spell. Another thing, I really recommend double DPS comps, because in low ratings, you really want the games to go quickly, or like win quickly or lose quickly. Now, I personally prefer to run healer DPS because I've always been a healer. I feel more comfortable having a healer on my team. But if you verse another healer DPS, you're going to have a long match. It'll most likely come down to dampening that stacking healing debuff over time. So double DPS helps with that. Especially burst comps. I hate to try to, get this out, like try to encourage people to run burst herp derp comps like Rep Pally Beam Hunter or Rep Pally Feral, things like that. But it can really get those games out of the way quickly. Okay, next I want to talk about key bindings. These are so important. Key bindings, I would almost say, are mandatory for getting 1500. If you look down here on my top row here, I have everything keybound all the way over. Now, yes, it can be intimidating when you don't use key bindings and you look at this. But the best thing to do is just pick one item a day, keybind it, learn it, and the next day do it. The first things you do want to learn to keybind are your focus macros. Focus macros, they are really important too. You want to be able to DPS a target and CC or interrupt another target at the exact same time. How do you do this? Well, you make a macro. For example, you may not be able to see this text, but I'll put it in the description anyways. It's just like / cast in brackets target equals focus counterspell. That'll counterspell whoever I have set as my focus. Now, if you don't know how to set focus targets, you right click on whoever you want to set focus. For example, I'll set myself as focus. You right click and go to set focus. So you can target somebody. So I'm targeting me, and I can watch, well, since I have myself as my focus, I can watch me DPS somebody while interrupting and CCing somebody else. So for, let's say, mages, you want to make a focus polymorph macro. You want to make a focus counterspell macro. You probably want to focus deep freeze macro. And there's even some more, but those are the main ones. Any CC or interrupt you want macros for for focus. They will help you so much. So just to recap on that, learn hotkeys. You don't want to click anything. If you take time to click, you're reducing your productivity in that match. You could be doing so much more. And then also make focus macros. Multitasking in arenas helps out a lot as well. Alright, the next thing is you need to learn to use your LOS. Those pillars. Anything like that. Or the other levels, like maps where there's a bridge, you can jump down, LOS. This is great if you're low on health and you need to run away to heal, like you're a feral druid. You're DPSing, oh, now you're low on health. Now you dash, run away super fast, you have regrowth, and just start casting Healing Touch while you're LOS. They can't hit you until they get in your LOS. Now as a healer too, LOSing helps you avoid CC and damage. You don't want to get polymorphed, so run around the pillar so the mage is not in line of sight. The best position as a healer you can be in is where you're in line of sight of your teammate and LOSing the enemy. Perfect position to be in. With that said, I think it's very important to put marks above you and your teammate's head so you can keep track of where each other's at. You don't want to LOS each other. So, right click on the portrait and then target marker icon and then just apply it. So even if you're LOS, you can tell where they're at. Really helpful. Now, from a DPS standpoint, if somebody's line of sighting you, a lot of times low rating people will just herp derp. They're like, oh, he's LOSing me and I'm slowed. Well, I'm just going to keep slowly chasing him and not touching him. No. Nope. Don't do that. The best thing to do if a healer gets away from you, or your DPS target in general gets away from you, is to switch targets. Switch to a DPS person. They're going to be out in the open most likely. And what happens? Well, you start damaging them. Oh, they need heals. So now the healer has to come back into the open. It's a great way to manually pull that healer out in the open. Like if you're a warrior, this is great. Okay, you're on the healer, they get away from you. Cool. You just switch to a DPS target. You're doing some good damage. The healer has to come out in line of sight. Okay, there's the healer. Boom. Charge. If they get away from you, switch again. Switching's okay. It needs to be used. You can't just herp derp focus on a target. You gotta be smart. Another thing that's super helpful when you're versing like shamans or pet classes is whenever you go to tab target, if you like to target that way, you don't want to tab target a totem, tab target a pet. That can get really annoying and cause you to accidentally interrupt the wrong thing or CC the wrong thing. So I would recommend going into key bindings under targeting, and most likely right here you'll have where it says target nearest enemy. It'll say tab. You want to move that down where it says target nearest enemy player. Set that to tab, and then you won't ever target a pet or a totem ever again. Also, an add-on called Gladius, pretty important. It shows when enemies are using their cooldowns, like burst or defensive, and it shows their trinket, their get out of stuff trinket. This is important because you can know, oh, hey, that priest over there, he has 45 seconds till his trinket's off cooldown. So that means we can stun him and just wreck his teammate, or stun him and attack him, and he can't do anything. That's the best time to line up CCs and burst. So a good tip, try to force a healer's trinket early on in the game without using your burst, and you're going to be in a great position. For example, let's say you have a rogue on your team. Let's start off the match. Let's just go right on the priest. Get a nice good cheap shot into kidney shot doing some solid damage. There's a good chance he might trinket out of that kidney shot. Okay, great. Just wait a little bit. Wait till that stun from the cheap shot kidney shot diminishing returns wears off, and just repeat on that priest, except now she can't get out of it. So doing things like that, timed bursts. Using your burst in a smart fashion. Another thing to really help you out is use communication. If you're pretty good at the game, you most likely won't need to, but if you're new, it's great to really coordinate your interrupts, your CCs, and your burst. Be like, hey man, this next spell, I'm going to interrupt it, so don't worry about it, okay? You don't want your interrupts overlapping each other. That's bad. Hey, don't attack this target, I'm CCing them. Okay, things like that. Really helps. The best learning tool is to just keep doing arenas, but if you lose one, don't just queue up into the next one. Take a minute, think about it. Why did we lose? Well, I did miss a couple of interrupts. That didn't help. And a few of my spells got interrupted. That didn't help. I didn't avoid some CCs, or I didn't get enough CCs out. I didn't line of sight enough. I stayed on somebody too long who was line of sighting me. Things like that. You just got to think about them. If you can learn one thing from a loss, you might as well consider that a win. You got something out of it, and you can apply that to your next match. Eventually, you'll have learned so much that you can apply to your next match. You're going to win. You can keep doing this up and up and up and up, past 1500. Just make sure when you lose, think about what caused you to lose. What caused that loss? And if you think, oh man, Frost Death Knights, they're just overpowered, that's why we lost. No, that's even if they are, even if they're way too overpowered. That's not the mindset. You gotta think, what can I do in that situation to help come out on top? What could I have done differently? You gotta think like that. And that can help you improve your gameplay. Alright guys, I hope these tips can help you out. If you guys enjoyed the video, please comment, like, or subscribe to help support me and my future videos. Alright guys, well thank you, and good luck in future PvP matches.